Hello again, everyone. This is Troy Broadhagen with Berry Sales Engineering. I'm going to do another quick video here. The last couple videos I have been going with the theme of reducing hardware by using smarter devices, primarily highlighting Leuze electronic devices. And I'm going to stay with that theme and talk about their smart process gating, or SPG, series light curtain in their MLC 530 series. And what this does is, in any muting application, this is big for machine builders, as you can do away with the hardware such as the muting sensors you would need in traditional setups, and therefore you can also potentially reduce the footprint of a machine.
Alright, before we get into the specific features of the SPG, or Smart Process Gating, of Leuze's MLC light curtain, I want to do a quick summary of traditional muting using sensors. Typically in a muting application you would have two photo eyes. In this case you'd have two photo eyes on the inside of the cell. Sometimes it may be crossing over this, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to use this. And all recognized safety standards are going to require you to use at least two sensors for redundancy's sake. And typically you'd have a reflector on this side of the conveyor, but for ease of animating this, I didn't show that. So got two muting sensors here, the roller conveyor, you got your light curtain, and this is obviously protecting entry into the machine. So as the pallet comes down the roller conveyor, it's going to get detected by these sensors, and once both of them detect it, the muting would be active, and as the pallet breaks the beam, it would not be an issue. Then at a certain time period after both beams have been broken, the muting function would go inactive again. For a 4-beam muting concept, typically you'd have two sensors on the inside, two sensors on the outside, and the pallet would come down, get detected by the first two sensors, which would activate the muting, and then so we're free to break that plane of the light curtain, and then the two sensors on the other side would detect it, and it would the muting would be inactive once both beams don't detect the pallet any longer. There would also be a time period that would have to occur in as well. So let's go to talking about the specifics of the SPG. Alright, so we're going to this video that Leuze has put out there on their smart process gating, and this does a very good job of showing this access guarding without muting sensors. So I'm going to pause this for a second. So with the smart process gating, instead of muting sensors, we're going to send a signal from the PLC or other control device directly to the light curtain. This will essentially be your first signal, like the first muting sensor would be triggered. So that's the first signal. The second signal will be the breakage of the actual light curtain beam. So that would be kind of like your second muting sensor. And so once that happens, then there's going to be a muting gate time period based on the speed of the conveyor and the size of the package that needs to go through it. And so the light curtain is going to ignore that its light beam is broken during that time period. And so let's just show this in action. And this does away with these sensors either before or after your light curtain, which can improve many aspects of your muting system. This is just a demonstration of the rise and fall of the signals that we just talked about. So you got your PLC signal you're going to see here come on, and then in a certain time period, we're going to have to break the light curtain beam, and that will occur here. And then you have a certain time period for the package to travel through, and then after that time period, we got 1 or 2 seconds that for the gate to close, and then any breakage of this beam will shut down the machine or work area. This is good in intralogistics and automotive, palletizing cells, and as it'll say here, it does enable high compact design, saves valuable space. There's no readjustment of sensors when changing size of goods, and highly tamper-proof. Let's talk about that really quick. So with a sensor system, it is possible for an operator to potentially tamper with a system by simulating the muting sensors being blocked as if a pallet's coming through. It would be possible depending on machine design, and that would allow somebody to enter the cell from this side, and the machine would have no idea. With this system, because we're sending a signal from the PLC to the light curtain directly, it would be pretty difficult for a regular operator to simulate that or manipulate the system in order to do that, and then therefore enter this access point during a time that they shouldn't. So it highly reduces the potential of tampering with a muting system. All right, so let's go back to one of these concepts I showed you prior to that Leuze video. And the great thing about this SPG or smart process gating is it allows you to get rid of all these muting sensors. Now we're using the beam of the actual light curtain as well as a signal from the PLC or other controller to activate that muting gate. So not only do you do away with other hardware that could potentially cause issues, but in some cases, you may be able to reduce the footprint of your automation cell, because you could potentially do away with this area here as well as this area here, because your pallet's having to come out past these two sensors. Now you could reduce the area here on this side of the light curtain. Thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any other questions or want more information, please hit me up on LinkedIn or my email at tbrodhagen@berrysalesinc.com. I just briefly went over the functions of this and would love to go into more detail if somebody would like to.